I've been getting drunk with the government. Yes, you did hear that right, but this is no social occasion, because they treated me like a criminal and they put me in an ankle tag. The idea was to call me out on how many pints I knocked back, and I thought I could handle my drink. So we're going to pretend here that I've just earned my way out of jail, and one of my conditions is that I'm not allowed to drink. Now this is increasingly going to be the case in England and Wales because ministers have changed now the way that we punish and rehabilitate offenders, because put simply, our prisons are too full. So I'm being taken to the pub. I've got one of these tags on that's monitoring my sweat, and there's a team who are going to be watching those readings closely, just like probation officers would in real life.
We call it sweat. It's insensible perspiration.
Okay.
Yes, it's sweat, but it's kind of the gases that are released through our skin. So we get quite a lot of questions around, I don't sweat very much.
Yeah.
It's freezing cold outside. How are you going to monitor me? Insensible perspiration is always produced, so it always comes out from our skin. And about 1% of the alcohol that we consume comes out with it.
Right, okay.
And that's what we're detecting.
Right, I've got the tag on. It feels quite weird. This might take a bit of getting used to, but it's on. We're heading to the pub. Let's see how it works. I'm LBC's Fraser Knight, and this is my first drink. I've knocked my first drink back to get a head start on the sentencing minister, Jake Richards, who's coming to join me. It's his team that's relying on this technology to work, so that they know when criminals have broken their conditions and if they might need to be recalled to prison. You brought us to the pub.
You brought me to the pub.
You brought me to the pub. Why are we here? What's going on?
We know that alcohol-related crime costs the economy over £20 billion a year. And actually in communities like mine and across the country, we know that alcohol can be the root cause of a lot of antisocial behaviour and much more serious offending as well. And so when offenders do leave prison, and we know that alcohol has been a part of their offending, it's absolutely right that we make sure they don't just return to boozing and causing trouble. These tags have really, really high success rates. 97% of people on these tags don't go back to booze, and so we're greatly expanding and investing in their use to try and cut crime.
So I've got one of the tags on.
Do you want to see it?
What do you
think?
think?
It feel? Is it quite heavy?
It's not heavy, you know.
Yeah.
It's quite chunky.
Yeah.
But it's.
How long does it take to put on?
I mean, that just went on in the space of a few minutes.
Great.
But
yeah.
Getting used to it. So, over the next couple of hours, we're gonna have a few pints, see how we get on.
And people say journalists are lazy, but actually, this is your job to have a couple of pints and see how it goes. Yeah, great.
Over the next couple of hours, the pints keep flowing, and I start to wonder at what point the tag will pick them up. How much more are we going to see these tags being used, and for what? Because a lot of people will look at the Sentencing Act and think, you don't want as many people in jail, not as many people are going to be locked up. How's this going to help with that?
Well, that's not quite right, first and foremost. So by the end of this Parliament, this government will make sure there are more criminals in prison than ever before. We're actually building more prison places than ever before, the fastest prison building programme since the Victorian era. So we are using prison. Prison is right for some offenders, and we're going to keep using it. But we also do face a capacity crisis. The last government didn't do anywhere near enough. When we came into government, prisons were at bursting point, so we have to build more. But we also have to change how our sentencing regime works, and that means using community punishment and community sentences much more. And we are really confident in this technology, and we're hoping that you're going to show your viewers and listeners that if you drink whilst you're wearing one of these, we'll know straight away. We've tested it a lot. We're going to keep testing it. Where it fails, we'll improve. But we can't just avoid using technology. Technology gives us so many more answers to some of the problems we face in the society, and that includes in crime and punishment.
Okay, I've just left the pub. I'm pretty tipsy. I'm not entirely drunk, but I have been sent home with the alcohol tag to see what happens in the next few hours. Probably to make sure I don't go clubbing, to be fair. And we'll go back in the morning to see what the results are. It's morning. My head's a little bit fuzzy. I'm not hungover though. But I did have a fair few drinks. So yeah, I slept with the tag on last night. It was quite uncomfortable. There's no way that you'd forget you've got that on your ankle. But this morning I've been invited back into the Ministry of Justice offices. We're going to have a look at the graph. And yeah, if I was really on an alcohol tag, as opposed to going to prison, we're going to find out exactly at what point they would have known that I'd breached my conditions last night.
what we've got here, as we mentioned yesterday.
What they're describing to me here is just how quickly they could see that I'd had a drink last night. In fact, they say it was only an hour after my first sip that it started to show up on the graph, which should have stayed flat if I was really following my conditions. They also show me that it kept going up as the evening went on, and they can pinpoint exactly when I went to bed.
This reading here is approximately 2.5 times the drink drive limit.
Okay.
And you remained above the drink drive limit until about 10:15 p.m.
Last night, yeah.
Yes.
Okay, that was pretty impressive. So not only could they see when I started drinking, they could also see how long I'd been drinking for. So they could take a pretty accurate guess at how many I'd had last night. But what surprised me even more is that on top of that, they could also see that I tried to take the tag off last night. Look, in my drunken state, it was annoying me in the bed, so I tried to move it around and make it more comfortable. But they told me this morning they could see that that had happened. So you bet if I had been an offender on these conditions, I would have had a probation officer round at my door asking me questions and potentially even sending me back inside. And look, the Ministry of Justice is planning to use these tags a lot more. It's part of sweeping reforms to the criminal justice system, and some have said that it's showing a sign of weakness. It's letting more criminals walk the streets instead of being locked up for longer. But what the government says is that they think this is actually going to improve rehabilitation rates, so we're going to see less crime happening. And in the long run, we'll see a prison system that can breathe, that isn't constantly under pressure in the way that it has been over the past few years.